Well, hey everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hybrid Ministry Show. In this episode, we are going to be answering 3 pressing and 1 maybe not so pressing church communication related questions. Before we do, excited to have you with us. I am here drinking my coffee, Joffrey's, if you know, you know, in my new Avengers mug because we just got back from Disney World. It was amazing. I took a week off from recording and editing and all the things, but you missed nothing because we did some pre-recording, so you were all set to go. Anyway, pumped about that. If you want to see any of the recaps of that stuff, it is on my YouTube channel, my TikTok, or if you just want to see me hold my new Avengers mug, that is currently streaming on YouTube right now as well. If you're just listening to this, you can go to the link in our show notes and hit the YouTube button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like. All those things are good for the algorithm, help us get found. If you're just watching on YouTube and you're like, wait, this is a podcast? Yes, it is. It's a podcast. Come hang out with us. Link in the show notes for that. And every single episode we provide for you a 100% completely free transcript. Just head to the website and check it out. And in addition to that, we have a completely free ebook. It is basically your step-by-step guide on how to create a TikTok, post it, save it, and then post it to other social platforms so that you can be up on what's going on social media right now. Vertical video is king, and it is giving the church a leg up for one of the very first times in social media history, so we don't want you to be missing out on that. Finally, hey, if you are here, a rating, a review would be incredible. It really helps us get indexed and found and help get this word out to other people. So if you feel so inclined to leave a rating or a review, we would just absolutely love that. Without any further ado, let's dive into these 3 pressing and 1 not so pressing church communication questions. They are going to be question number 1, what should I focus on first, social or my website? Question number 2, there are altogether too many events happening at my church to effectively announce anything. What do? I have some advice on that. And what is the best digital media for churches in 2023? What should I be doing? And they're maybe not as popular out there. Like, what are some ideas? And finally, what are my top 5 used apps on my phone? So there you go. That's what we're diving into. Let's go. Okay, question number 1. What should I focus on? Should it be social or should it be my website? And this one's honestly, in my personal estimation, pretty easy. I think the answer should be your website. Here's a couple reasons why. It is your home base. If you create your website, you own it. You are the primary real estate manager of it. If you're on social media and you're growing a following over there, you should do that as well. But if you had to pick between one or the other, social media is a little bit finicky because it changes its rules, i.e. the algorithm. You've been there before where someone's gotten big on some sort of platform, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and then one of those platforms shifts underneath them, the algorithm, and they're no longer getting found. Their videos are not getting as many plays, they're not getting as many likes, and that's because they are not the owner of their content. They're on borrowed or rented space on social media. Meanwhile, on your website, you can make it everything that you need or want it to be. And I honestly recommend, and this is not an original idea with me at all. I stole this one 1000% from the guys up at Pro Church Tools, nucleus.church, but make it your centralized hub. The reason for that is because, like on social media, for example, you might post a fleeting thought or an idea or a devotional or engage in ministry in the DMs in some sort of way with people. However, if you are using social media as your primary vehicle for announcements, if it is a glorified billboard, then people are going to be like, wait, I saw that post a couple of weeks ago. Let me scroll back and try and find it. That's a pain in the butt, man. But if you put it on your website, and if people know that it's on your website, then what you can do is when they ask you a question, you can be like, hey, yeah, the answer is whatever, but also it's on the website anytime you need that. And you do that a few times to any individual person, and they learn. You kind of start to feel like a jerk like early on with it. Like we're in that phase right now. We just got a website that we are dumping everything to. I told you a couple episodes ago, it's not exactly what I hoped it would be. I want to go with like a nucleus site, but we have to go, with our church communications people. I work in our youth ministry department, and so like I have to make sure that what I'm doing jives with the rest of the church, which I totally get and am in support of that. However, because of that, the website has certain things on it that we are not able to kind of work around ourselves yet. And so anyway, all that to be said, it's still a full service location. And so if a parent or someone's like, hey, you sent an email a couple weeks back, where was that information about, or what? You can just say, camp deadline is May 31st, but also, did you know that it's on the website at fill in the URL? And you say that, you just start saying that a bunch, right? And it becomes like a part of your like vernacular, a part of your answer. And that's why I think that you should go website first, because website is your owned real estate. It's the equivalent of owning or renting an Airbnb from somebody for vacation, which can be fun, it can be exciting, it can be sexy, and you have like all your stuff. Like that's kind of like social media, right? It's kind of fun, it's kind of exciting, and it might even feel a little more sexy than building out a full website. But at the end of the day, you don't own it. It's owned by Mark Zuckerberg or someone in China, whoever's owning TikTok, or the YouTube gods that be that pick the algorithm. But if you own your house, it's not as fun. When the HVAC system goes out, that it's on you to fix. You can't just call the owner or call the landlord. Like that's your responsibility because it's your house and you own it. However, it's yours and you build equity in it and you get to ride the housing market. And it's all the unseen, not as fun, not as glamorous, not as shiny things, but it is still better. That's how we all know. Like when you own a house, it's better. However, it's more of a pain in the butt and it's not as shiny, it's not as glamorous, but it's better. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend if you have to pick between the two, social or website, definitely lean website. Make sure that you own your real estate, your videos, your announcements, your people are aware of where to go and what to do when they get there. Okay, there are too many ministries and too many events vying for attention and wanting to be announced. What do I do? Well, I would create some sort of rubric, some sort of church communications ranking system, and you have to make a determination, and certain things get certain priority, right? Like the Easter service, which affects the entire church body, is going to get all the publicity and all the stage time. Meanwhile, the woman's bunko night, while still important and still matters, and no hard feelings to Phyllis who's planning it, is not going to maybe get the same amount of announcement or same amount of run. But you know how it goes, right? You don't announce it, and now Phyllis is angry because you didn't announce her thing from the stage. But you got Pastor John over here who needs the Easter announcement to go out as well. And so you're trying to make Phyllis and Pastor John both happy, but you work for Pastor John, and Phyllis is just this like volunteer, sweet old lady who's volunteering for the women's ministry. But you work for Pastor John, right? And so that's what maybe the mental gymnastics are that you're going through when you're determining what to announce and how to announce it. Now, here's the thing. I think that churches have very much fallen prey to announcements being a one-track sort of thing. It being the announcement time on Sunday morning from the platform, and that's it. And that's just simply not true. So while you can create your rubric and you can grade like, okay, the women's bunko night, unfortunately, we don't have enough space for these announcements. And so it's going to get bumped from the Sunday morning announcement time. However, there are other channels and other avenues in which you can lean into, in which you can help create so that people are in the loop about what is going on. And so create your rubric, create your metric or your grading system about what pops through, what actually gets a stage announcement, so that you're not, announcing 25 things, you're announcing only a handful of things, or honestly, if I could find a way, I would make it be announcing only one thing so that people really know it, and then really craft that announcement to be good and well done, captivating, inspirational, perhaps try and find a way to share a story. People are going to connect to a story, especially a story about life change, and then announce it. But then, you left Phyllis's bunco on the cutting room floor. So what are you going to do? So there are multiple communications avenues, and I want to just kind of like stream of consciousness, rapid fire, some of the ones that I have or that are in my brain, and so doing that sparks something that works for you, and you can use that in your setting as well. But one of them is your pre-roll, right? As people are coming into service, utilize that time with rotating or scrolling announcement slides. It's not very innovative, I know, and it might even seem outdated and antiquated, but it is, I think, worth it because you have a very captive audience, people filtering in, sitting down, looking ahead at a screen, and you can have announcements, you can have things popping through. Obviously, also, you can utilize your social media channels. On there, though, what I would do is I would try and lean into what social media is made for. So, for example, instead of just posting graphics on Reels or TikTok, or just like graphics on your Instagram or Facebook feeds, I would find a way to creatively do memes or games or silly like POV type content. But you do those things, and it adjacently announces your event while also being something on there that is leaning towards entertainment. Also think about signage. Where is the signage, and what is the available signage in your church? It could be bathroom signage, which is one of my favorites. Having a sign above urinals for men is a great place to put something, because why? No man wants to look side to side, so look it straight ahead, okay? You also got banners. If you have like a table setting, like we in our student ministry, we have a table setting where like people sit around round tables, and there's a like clear placard that sits right in the middle. You can do tabletop type announcements or tabletop type signs. You also have your weekly church email, and then also your weekly stage announcement, right? And then I think every announcement, no matter what, should get included into your one-stop centralized hub, your one-stop website, so that everybody knows, no matter what, to always go there. So even if they see bunco in the pre-roll, but they're like, shoot, I didn't catch all the details, that's okay, because they know it's on the website, right? It's the same thing that's true of like if you watch a movie trailer. If you watch a movie trailer online, you're like, man, I have to go see the new Marvel movie. Yeah, you do, but what it didn't do was it didn't pop up an end card at the end of the trailer and say your hometown, your movie theaters, and the showing times for each day for the next week. No, it puts the onus on you. If you want to see the movie, if you want to go to bunco night, then you will chase down that information. Historically, what's been the issue? Churches haven't done a very good job of making that information readily available. They think they do by including it in the announcement, or the graphic is like a bunco thing, and then it's just got like worlds and worlds of text, like 6:30 to 8 in the F building with Phyllis, and if you want to go, make sure you email Phyllis at flowerlady3729@aol.com, because apparently Phyllis is still using AOL. And if you have questions, you can swing by the welcome desk in the front lobby. And you see what I'm saying? Like, instead, if you streamline everything and you say bunco night info at boom, your website, everything you go to, your website provides itself as a bit of a backdrop. Now, let me give you one of my favorite church communications hacks of all time. And that hack is this is a little bit, not a pet peeve, but I think that you're missing an opportunity if you do it this way. So, for example, I am an author on Download Youth Ministry, and one of the things that is made very famous, made very available, are 5-minute countdowns. They put the 5-minute countdown on 5 minutes before the service is supposed to start. And that's a very popular thing. Our churches do it. Your church probably has some sort of iteration of a 5-minute countdown. One of my pet peeves, or one of the things I just honestly think is a little bit of a miss, is that you have a lot of churches, they'll have a pre-roll, and then at the 5-minute mark, they'll switch off of the pre-roll to this 5-minute countdown. And this actually happened yesterday where I was going to church. I looked around, 5 minutes, there were, I don't know, probably like 20% of the people that were going to end up being in the service, or that ended up being in the service at that time. And they switched off the pre-roll, which was very information and announcement heavy, to a generic, a good, very good, like cinematic, good picture and encapsulation of the church and the life of the church and like serving and events and all the things, but no information. And in that 5-minute time, it went from 20% of the service to probably like 70, 80% of the service. And all the people that walked into the room at that moment, they didn't get any of that benefit of the pre-roll. And if they got in there a minute early, if the pre-roll was still rolling, they could sit there and they could still see the last little bit of the pre-roll. They would still catch some of the things, and maybe Bunko would roll in front of them. And then they would know, oh, Bunko's coming up. And so one of my favorite hacks is create a pre-roll and create a dynamic pre-roll if you have what it takes, one that's video-based and all the things. And then instead of swapping a 5-minute countdown, just create a loop and then put a 5-minute countdown on through ProPresenter, or just throw a 5-minute overlay on a video and render out 2 videos, one without a 5-minute countdown, one with a 5-minute countdown. And so that way, when they switch from the pre-roll to the 5-minute countdown, it's the same thing. That's what I do in my ministry. It's the same video, just one has a 5-minute countdown timer on it, one does not. And that's one of my favorite hacks, because I believe that you have a captive audience of people filtering into your auditorium. They are actually paying attention to the screen once it starts counting down, or they should be at least, because they don't want to be late or they have to get from one place to the other. And so in so much as paying attention, the theory then is that they're at least going to be mildly aware of the other announcements that are going on behind the 5-minute countdown. So that's one of my favorite hacks for you as a church communications person. Hope it's helpful. Let me know if you implement it. Let's move on to question 3. What are 3 digital media ideas for churches in 2023 that aren't as popular? So idea that I have, number 1, that I don't think is as popular. Now, they're very popular, don't get me wrong, but they may not be as popular with churches, are podcasts. And I don't just mean your Sunday sermon podcast, though you 100% should be doing that. It's probably the lowest hanging fruit and the most available opportunity for you to start regularly posting podcasts in a podcast catcher. But I also think, what about finding ways to create podcasts that educate, that explain different facets of faith or spiritual disciplines, or fill in the blank, right? But podcasts, I think, are an amazing tool that churches should be leaning into. As churches, church leaders and pastors are professional content creators. And so your people, you are creating content for them every single week on a Sunday morning. And quite frankly, it is a lecture style piece of information that you are creating for your church. So why are you not taking that skill that you have honed, that you are good at? And honestly, maybe you're like, well, I'm the senior pastor. Like, I don't have time. Maybe you work at a church with additional other staff and pastors who don't preach as often as you. Maybe this would be an outlet or an avenue for them to exercise their teaching gift, to grow in what and what God has given to them. But they don't have time, or you don't have time, or the sermon preaching calendar doesn't allow for the time or the space for them to get a lot of stage time. That's okay. You can give this other outlet, this other avenue for them to exercise those gifts, for them to teach people via podcast. So I think podcasts are a really creative way and a really potentially effective way for churches to lean in and to create additional content for their churches and for people who are interested in what the church has to offer. Another idea that I have are TikTok style teaching or inspirational videos. So while podcast is long form, I think TikTok style videos are the best, like, zig to the zag of that, where they are short. So podcast, really, no matter how long it is, you can go as long as you want. TikTok, make it as short as humanly possible. And perhaps to even marry those two, just film your podcast and then cut out clips from the podcast. And then the short videos can serve as both inspirational and educational, but they can also serve as an advertisement of sorts or a marketing technique for your podcast. So you post on your social channel some of those short clips, and then people begin to discover and realize that there's a longer form version of this out there via audio podcast or even video podcast. I mean, if you're going to capture the video and you have the bandwidth for it, there's really no reason to then marry the audio and the video, put it together, and then just create a video-based podcast as well. And then idea number 3 that I have, ebooks, right? In the same vein, you are a professional content creator. So just take the content that you have that's good, that's useful, that's beneficial, that you have studied, that the Holy Spirit has laid on your heart, and that you then are now presenting and showing to your church congregation. Take that and package that in a way that makes it available for people. Why? Maybe it hits a different audience than those who are in the church on Sunday morning. Maybe they weren't there on Sunday morning, but it's still something that's out there and that's available for them to do, right? Like if you're a pastor and you create like 3 ideas for studying God's word, you can create that in an infographic or an ebook or something like that, and you can offer that to your church, and you have that to live on in perpetuity. Meanwhile, if you preach that sermon on March 12th, 2016, that's lost back on March 12th, 2016. But if you repurpose some of that content, then anytime anyone has a question about, hey, how do I spend time with God? You're like, I created this resource, and you just pull it back out, or you post it on your website, or you have it somewhere that's accessible, or that's available for people to come to, for you to share with them. And that's, I think, another way that you can help kind of rejuvenate or repurpose some of your already created content into something that feels fresh. It isn't fresh, but it's beneficial and it's helpful to people's spiritual growth and their journey and their information and understanding of God's word. All right, question number 4. What are the top 5 apps that I, as a youth pastor and as a content creator, use on my phone often? Number 1 is Google Drive. I would be sunk without Google Drive. I store all of my photos, all of my videos on Google Drive, and they sit there, and then I download them off of Google Drive, and then I post them, and then I can delete the storage off of my phone. So that is the first thing. I would absolutely be lost without it. I use it both for business and for personal, and I can toggle very easily between both of those accounts in my Google Drive. Do it often, do it all the time. The other app on my phone that I use a lot is CapCut. There are templates galore out there, and TikTok honestly is pushing CapCut templates right now. So if you post a CapCut template, you can go viral pretty easy. I have not had as good of luck with that on TikTok, but you know where I have is YouTube Shorts. I can get videos up over 1,000 views pretty easily just by using a CapCut template. Another thing that I use is going to sound weird, but I use my Google Chrome app all the time. And if I post something that I created in TikTok by itself, then I go into Google Chrome and I search download TikTok video without watermark. I go to the very first search engine result there. I paste the link from my TikTok video. I download it. I copy the caption that I created in TikTok. I go over to Instagram and I post it, and I paste the caption, and then I go over to YouTube Shorts and I post the video and I paste the caption. And that is one of the quickest, easiest, and hackiest ways for me to get the TikTok watermark off of my videos and onto other social media platforms. A couple others that I use that are just kind of for me, Castbox. I'm an Android guy, so I don't have the Purple Podcast app for podcasts, but I listen to podcasts galore. Like I told you at the beginning, I was in Disney World last week, and I got behind on my podcast, so I have something like 60 podcasts in my catcher right now that I need to pound through. I also am subscribed to maybe way too many, and so I might need to cut some of those back, but I listen to podcasts a lot. I have a decent commute, and so I'm able to listen to them as I go. And finally, one that I don't use a ton, but it's good to have there for reference, is Kindle. I use Kindle across all of my devices. If I'm reading some sort of book for work, I try to get it in a Kindle version. That way I don't have to lug the book with me, or if like I'm at a doctor's or dentist's office and I want to sit and wait for a minute, I can pull it open and read wherever I am, on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer. And then I can quickly reference back to other things, other books, other ideas that I've read before if I want to use them for something on social media or whatever the case might be. Those are 5 must-have apps that I use on a pretty frequent and regular basis to help make my life easier as a social media manager in a church. Well, hey everyone, so glad you hung out with me on this episode. And if you're on the YouTube stream, you're looking at my Avengers mug right now. Glad that you hung out and you stuck around. As always, transcripts at hybridministry.xyz. Give us a like, give us a rating, give us a share, give us a review. All those things would mean the world to us. And as a token of my and our appreciation back to you, we would love to give you our 100% completely free ebook titled, Have I Already Ruined My Church's TikTok Account? Psst, the answer is no. But go download the book so that you know how to use and post to TikTok whenever and however you want. Head to the link in the show notes for that. And without any further ado, we're going to get you out of here. Thanks for hanging out. Don't forget to, as always, stay hybrid.